every day I wear these rings with a lot of pride, symbolic of a perfect season. Everything has to go right. The first one is always like your first love, your first kid. The first one always has a little more special meaning to you when you win it. So the 1971 I hold in high esteem because that team, personified team, can't mention Frazier without Bradley, without DeBusschere, without Reed, without Barnett.
The summer of waiting was over, and the Knicks charged into the 69-70 season. This would not be a year of finding their stride. The Knicks were at full speed from the opening tip-off, steamrolling their opposition. They mounted an early season win streak that would become a dramatic assault on the NBA record books.
There's an attitude change once you're on a team that wins, and a team that wins and knows how to win.
That winning attitude would prevail for 17 consecutive games, but it would be in the pursuit of a record 18th straight victory that the Knicks would push it to the limit as they trailed Cincinnati by 3 with seconds remaining.
5-102. They called timeout.
I just said, well, the only way we're going to win this thing is if you take a chance.
And it's intercepted. Put in by Dave DeBusschere. 105-104. 10 seconds to go. Intercepted by Frazier. Frazier shoots. The follow. There's a whistle on the play as Frazier went up with 2 seconds to go.
They call timeout to try to ice me. So when we go over to our bench, no one is saying anything to me. It's like, oh, these two are in the basket, you know. And then when the buzzer sounds, the red goes, okay, Clyde, get him in now.
Knicks trail, 2 seconds to go, they trail by 1 point. It's tied. Fifth, if this is pulled out, it will be one of the miracles of basketball. The Knicks come back. Hold on. Cincinnati will call timeout, probably to get the ball in midcourt. He makes it.
Our next Cal Ramsey Award honoree, Walt Clyde Frazier.
Thank you, Kenny. Jeff, do you remember those moments, man? That would bring back a lot of fun memories for you. You remind me of Mel Davis, one of my teammates. You're still a legend in your own mind. Tonight, folks, I'm very honored to be receiving this award, especially at Clyde's Wine and Dine. You know, we've been here for 6 years. The restaurant has been here for 6 years, and I'm just overwhelmed with the support that people have given me. You won't believe how many bar mitzvahs we have here, birthday parties, kids that weren't born when I played coming in looking for Clyde. Is Clyde gonna be there tonight? So it's been a real revelation. I've only seen the good side of New Yorkers. You know, there was a streak once, I got booed a few times when the team wasn't thriving, but other than that, I've only seen the good side of New Yorkers, and obviously we know you guys are the greatest fans in the world, so.
Yes.
Standing here tonight, I realize, you know, what a blessed person I am. I've been always fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. I mentioned the other night on the air, when I was in college, I had made a deal with Seattle. You know, they were going to give me a 3-year contract, so I went off to class, I came back, and my lawyer had this dreadful look on his face. He goes, "You've been drafted by the Knicks." I said, the Knicks never talked to me the whole time. You know, like I had another year of eligibility. I could have gone back to school if I wanted to, so the Knicks didn't know that, and I was just shocked when they drafted me. So rather than being Clyde the Stylist, I would have been in Seattle with the London Fog.
Not quite the same.
Timberline boots. So that was the luck of the draft that I ended up in New York. And tonight I was just thinking about all the people that have helped me. Some of them in the room tonight. Carl Green, they paid homage to Carl, and Tom Hoover. Before I was Clyde, I was this country guy out of Southern Illinois, Atlanta, Georgia, mesmerized by the lights of New York City. So these guys were tremendous mentors for me, as well as Willis Reed. Willis Reed became my idol. Like Hoover picked up Willis from the airport, Willis picked me up at the airport when I came. He was an hour late.
Not good.
So, you know, my parents were petrified that I was coming to New York, so they were telling me, son, don't trust nobody, don't do this, don't do that. So, man, I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I couldn't leave my bags, though. And Willis drives up, like I said, an hour later, like, Frazier, come on, man. So I hop in his car. He's speeding down the highway. He has this convertible, and the cop stop us. And he started cursing the cop out, man. You know, being from the South, I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna see this guy get shot. Right? So the captain talked him out of the ticket, and he took me by his house. His house was like Grand Central Station. People, the neighbors, everybody was in there. I didn't know who was his kid, who was his wife, or anything. I was like, this guy. So that night he told me, hey man, I got you a date, we're going out. So Willis got me my first date. We went to Small's Paradise, Will Chamberlain. So that's when they had the Go-Go Girls, right? So I know Mr. Dinkin is here. You know, I used to go to the tennis matches with. I was like I was at a tennis match, man. They were dancing in the cage and women were coming by, man. I can remember that like yesterday, folks. That's been over 40, 50 years or something. So I never forgot that night. And actually, Willis drove me down Times Square. I ended up buying a convertible because of that, man. I never forgot that moment. But, you know, the captain was my idol, just like Carl and just like Tom, guys who taught me the ropes in New York City. And who mentioned that Willis was a hunter and fisher. So he would go to Alaska, man. They would drop him off in a remote area and come back and pick him up in a week. So like Tom, he was always, I said, Clyde, you want to go hunting? I go, you want to go deer hunting, man? I go, yeah, D-E-A-R. So I have so many profound memories about the city, developing my character, my personality. A guy named Red Holtzman, my coach, was so instrumental in helping me. Red was like a surrogate father. You know, like when I was Clyde, I was always buying suits, and Red would say, Clyde, you saving any money? You know, you gotta save money for a rainy day. So he was such an impact, and I'll never forget one night in Philadelphia, I wasn't playing well, so we always took the bus to Philly. So Red told me he wanted me to sit by him on the way back. I go, oh shit, I gotta sit by him for 2 hours. So he goes, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, Red used to be the scout. He goes, I know you were a good player in college. What's wrong? I said, I don't know, Red. I'm kind of nervous. He goes, well, I believe in you. You know, I'm going to keep putting you in the game. Just go out there and be yourself. It sounds mundane, but just those few words and that the coach believed in me gave me so much confidence. And so the rest we know is history. I went on to be one of the greatest Knicks ever and a couple of championships.
There you go.
the Willis Reed game, man, I told him that was bullshit, man.
Show your MVP.
I was 25 years old trying to get up there with Oscar Robertson and Jerry West.
Yes.
36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 steals. I sold hot dogs at halftime. And Captain got the MVP, man. But we all know that if Willis didn't do what he did, I would have never had that type of game. You saw the highlight. Bradley was saying he was our captain. He was the backbone of the team. He could barely walk. He could barely walk. And we were so surprised when he came out. You know, everybody was shocked. And I saw 3 of the greatest players ever mesmerized looking at Willis. Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. And at that point, it gave me so much confidence. I go, man, I think we got these guys. So Willis made his first 2 shots, and they were psyched out. You know, the crowd never shut up. And, you know, ironically, when I left the locker room, Holtzman always would say, you know, like if I'm playing Monroe, Clyde, forget about offense. You know, just focus on defense. So this game, he told me, hey, Clyde, just hit the open man. But as the game progressed, I was the open man every time. So that was a profound memory. Seeing Tiny Archibald, man, he's done something no one has ever done since leading the league in scoring and assists the same season. And I was joking tonight when I saw him. I go, "This is what you look like in the front, huh?" Because guarding this guy was like being in the Indianapolis 500, man. You snaking and weaving up and down the court. You know, a magnificent player and a better person. I've been on a few appearances with him, and I know I'm good with the fans, but I left him there still talking with the fans like an hour later. So he's really into kids and giving back. So, like I say, a lot of what I've accomplished with my restaurant, my fame as a Knick, there's so many people responsible. And so, Cal, I just like to say this is an honor, man, just to be receiving this award. And it embellishes tonight. Look at all the people that are here supporting you, bro. You are a loved man, you know, loved by a lot of people. Cal was the Knick broadcaster when we played in the 70s. So he and Bob Wolf were always there making the good calls and stuff. So again, like Carl and like Hoover, Cal was always there. Hey, Clyde, you know, they would see me doing something, they would correct me. You know, I even had a guy named Freddie Crawford, another New Yorker. Freddie Crawford. Freddie did send me down on 42nd Street a few times. But you know, today when I look at the NBA, everybody is so young. They don't have the mentors that we had. Like these guys don't have to carry the balls. You know, when I came in, I was making more than Willis Reed. They didn't care. Hey, Frazier, get the balls. I had to carry the moving projector. You know. So LeBron James has never carried the balls. You know? Plus, when you're that young, how can you lead the team? You have no experience. So they like the leadership that the former players had. You know, I think they're still dedicated to the game, but it's difficult when you are 19 years old and you work $10 million already and you never played a game. You know, you still don't have that hunger. It's like I tell people here when I walk on the street, I see a lot of people, hey, Clyde, let me have $5. Hey, Clyde, let me have $10. I go, hey, man, I don't have any money, but here's my card. You want a job, give me a call. So in 6 years, you know how many guys have called me? Not one guy has ever called looking for a job, man. So, right, they're just looking to take the easy way out. So, today, you guys know I'm a Nick broadcaster. I can't believe I'm going into my 25th season as a Nick broadcaster. So, like Nate, I go into the schools a lot telling the kids that, you know, now I'm making money off my brains and not my body. You know, I played 12 years in the NBA, and I've doubled that by getting an education, how important education is, being a good person, staying away from drugs, alcohol. And so what a lot of people forget, that players are parents. A lot of us are parents. So we're concerned about drug abuse, the insidious drugs that destroy our kids, child abuse, you know, teenage pregnancies, the appalling dropout rates in the schools. Over 50% of the kids are dropping out of school. So players are very concerned with that. They're always willing to give back. And tonight is just a testament of that. The people that are being honored here, just happy to be a part of it. And again, Cal, kudos to you, man, for making it all happen and continued success. Drop the mic here.
The mic drop. Congratulations, Clyde. By the way, if Clyde did sign that contract with Seattle, these fabrics might look a little bit different in the Pacific Northwest. I've had the pleasure of working over 100 games with Clyde over the last 5 or 6 seasons, and the one thing I can say, and the one thing I'll always remember about Clyde, is oftentimes before the games, on the road, at halftime, people of all ages come over. Little kids in number 10 Knicks jerseys who were born well after Clyde's career came to an end, and I've never seen him turn down one autograph or photo. Always says yes. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And one more anecdote, one of my favorite stories that I've heard from Clyde. He was named the MVP of the NBA All-Star Game out in Phoenix back in the mid-'70s. And at the time, the trophy, the NBA All-Star MVP trophy, was what, about 5 feet high? Clyde actually bought a first-class ticket so the trophy could have its own seat next to him on the plane. That's a true story. The trophy flew back to New York with its own seat next to Clyde. Our next honoree is the Cal Ramsey Legacy Award winner. I had the honor of calling his games when he played basketball for NYU back in the late 1980s, early 90s. He went on to graduate from Albany Law School. He served as a prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and he joined the U.S. Attorney's Office in 1993. In 2015, he was nominated by President Barack Obama to succeed Loretta Lynch as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. So on behalf of everybody here today in Cal, it's my honor to welcome the first recipient of the Cal Ramsey Legacy Award, Rob Capers.
A real, live crime fighter. Rob Capers has never been afraid to take the big shot. The former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York is a Bronx native, a powerful member of a family steeped in law enforcement. Born in 1971, when the Bronx was burning, his dad was a detective for the NYPD. Rob received his BA in 1992 from NYU, where he was co-captain of the basketball team. 4 years later, in 1996, he earned his JD from Albany Law School. Before becoming a federal prosecutor, Rob was the chief of the International Narcotics Strike Force.
The arc of his illustrious career has placed him at center stage in a host of high-profile cases.
And today marks a milestone in our pursuit of Chapo Guzman, as I'm pleased to announce the extradition of Chapo Guzman to the United States from Mexico. For far too long on Long Island, MS-13 has been meting out its own version of the death penalty against members of their own gang who violate their so-called rules, against rival gang members they seek to eliminate over disputes, and anyone else who they decide that they want to seek revenge against for any reason they so choose. Federal and local law enforcement responded, and as always, as we do and we must do, by working collaboratively and tirelessly to bring justice to these people who strike at the very heart and fabric of the lives that we try to live here in this country and in this island.
He's currently in private practice with Parent Ford, where he co-leads its government enforcement and the white-collar crime activities branch.
Okay, so I'm a lawyer as well, but I'm going to do my best not to talk too long because we're at the end of the show.
Yeah, right.
On behalf of my wife, Kim, who couldn't be here because she's running behind our kids, my son with basketball, my daughter with tutoring, I humbly accept this award as the first ever Cal Ramsey Legacy Awardee. I first met Cal now 30 years ago when I was a young impressionable kid coming to NYU on a visit. And I came to watch a game, and Cal came and walked across the court. And Clyde, no offense to you, but Cal was like the epitome of cool. And he was so cool that I wanted to be bow-legged and get a pair of leather pants. So I could come back next year and be Junior Cal Ramsey. He was that cool. But as I went on through the career, Cal, who was somebody of few words, always said the right thing along the way of my career. When I came in freshman year wanting to play and didn't play as long as I wanted to, he pulled me to the side and said, "Hey kid, you can't let them see you sweat. You got to work hard and you got to earn yours." And so I worked hard to earn mine. And the next year, when I had a big game, 30 plus points, 12, 13 rebounds, my double-double, I walk off the court, I look at him and he says, "Look up there. I got my record for rebounds that you'll never beat. So you did good, kid, but you can do better." And finally, in my last game at NYU, in the spring of 1992, when we lost in the first round to SUNY Albany in the Division III NCAAs, when I cried like a baby because I thought life as I knew it was over, he walked up to me and said, "Listen, kid, this is just the beginning, right? Basketball was life, but life goes on, and you got to find your place." And so I listened to him, men like him, men like my father, self-made people, and I found my place in life. I found my place in the law, and life as a trial lawyer and as a prosecutor became my basketball, right? I was in the basketball court, and it was the four corners of the court. When I was in the courtroom, that was where I performed, and that's where I did my thing. And one other thing Cal always said is, as great as you become, you always have to serve, right? You're nothing if you're not serving something other than yourself. And so I spent my career serving my community. 22 years as a prosecutor in the Manhattan DA's office and in the U.S. Attorney's office ultimately. Giving back to the community and showing people of color, boys, men, that there was a life for you in the law or in law enforcement. And what I did is I surrounded myself with people from various roles or places in my life. And men like Cal were instrumental in that. And so I want to say thank you to you, Cal. And thank you to the committee for choosing me as the first ever Legacy Awardee. There are many of us who came up under Cal, who learned lessons in life from him, who never got to be as cool as him, but strove to be the best we could be. And we continue that on. And so I say thank you for this award. I know there will be many others, and I look forward to coming back again year after year and having Cal come here and help to present this award. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Rob. I'd now like to welcome up to the podium Glenn Hunter. Glenn.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Glenn Hunter, and I would like to thank Cal, Emily, and David for asking me to participate in this wonderful event. When Cal told me about Emily's idea to have an annual awards dinner in his name with the proceeds benefiting his scholarship fund and requested that I join the advisory board, my response was, of course. I've had the pleasure of knowing Calvin E. Ramsey personally since my childhood. The terms role model and mentor do not even begin to describe his influence on my life. I first met Cal when he was the recreation director at the Riverton Houses, a place where many of us here tonight played basketball on a regular basis. In addition to supervising us in the playground, Cal made a point of taking a genuine interest in what we were doing with our lives, particularly our education.
When I grew up in the Harlem community, I was fortunate to have guys like Rucker, Dolly King, Pelham Fritz, the YMCA, the Boys Club, PAL, and they all, played a part in my development as a young person. So I kind of felt it incumbent upon myself to do what I could to help young people around the community. So when I was working with the playground, I tried to emulate the guys who came before me. And they were all very positive. They all focused on education. They all focused on staying away from negative things. So I tried my best to impart those same values to the young people in the Riverton when I was working over there. And when I talk to kids nowadays, I talk about the importance of education and about how my career was cut short in basketball, but I did have a degree and a skill. And the last thing I tell them is I say, you play as hard as you can at whatever sport you want to play, but as hard as you play, you study a little bit harder.